I've never really discussed this topic because I don't feel like it's anybody's business, but I figured since I keep hearing things through the grapevine, I should address some things. Hello ladies, welcome back to the Life of Jada A, where we discuss all things motherhood, entrepreneurship, and women empowerment. So today's topic is a life rant on being an unwed mother. Every so often I hear stuff through the grapevine about me and having kids and not being married, and I've never really addressed this topic. However, I decided maybe I should address it so that everybody understands where I'm coming from and learn to just stay out of it. The first thing I'm going to say, and the most important advice, is mind your business. What happens with somebody else's life is not your business. I really wish people took more time to worry about themselves and look at themselves in the mirror with their own flaws and their own mistakes before judging and jumping into somebody else's business. From the time I got pregnant with my first son in 2017, people have had a lot to say. From family to friends, or people who I thought were friends at least, associates, just everyone. Everyone has something to say about me having a kid, or now two, and not being married. A lot of this is just people talking mess. However, some of these comments were definitely hurtful. Being pregnant is one of the most vulnerable times in a woman's life, and to have people say negative things and say hurtful things during that time was really a blow. People really don't realize how vulnerable you are when you're pregnant, and how all the hurtful things and already the raging hormones, and not to mention the worry about carrying a child and hoping to bring your child into the world safe. All those things play a major factor in how vulnerable you are when you're pregnant. So to hear people make little sly comments and hurtful things behind your back, it just really affects you in a way. I've definitely had to reevaluate a lot of those relationships. Some people got cut off, some people just got put on the back burner, and some people who I really love, I'm trying to learn to trust again. I also want to say that I do not consider myself to be a single mom. I'm in a relationship with a man that I've been in love with for years, and we have two beautiful children. We love each other, and we have a family, and we're living our lives. I consider a single mom to be a woman who has children, who is doing the work by herself. Even if the dad lives across town or across the country, if you all are splitting the responsibilities in rearing that child and finances and everything else involved in that child's life, then I don't consider that to be a single mom. I think single mom, I think people who don't have any help at all. And fortunately, that's just not the case for me. Life is good right now, but it's definitely a remix. It's not the way I envision my life playing out, but I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. I'm having fun along the way. So while people were judging me for having kids without being married, people failed to realize the things that I might have been going through myself. For instance, when I got pregnant with my first son, what people don't realize is that I had a lot of inner turmoil. Like I said, this is not how I planned my life. Of course, I wanted to be married and I wanted to then have my babies. However, that's not the way my life played out. No one's words hurt as much as my own thoughts about myself, and that was something that I had to come to grips with. 2017 was one of the hardest years of our relationship. I was going to church more. Me and my boyfriend were practicing abstinence as much as we could. And things just were still not going the way I envisioned them. Things just were so rocky. We broke up several times in 2017, and having a baby was honestly the last thing on our minds at that point. We literally had one slip up in November of 2017 and I got pregnant. So when I found out I was pregnant, I actually stopped going to church. I was in a really weird spot with my faith, where at one hand I was very faithful and I was prayerful and I was talking to God a lot more. However, at the same time, I felt like I wasn't deserving. I felt like I had disappointed God. And so it was a really hard time for me. And because of that, I just figured, let me just not go to church. I can just pray at home. I remember one day in my first trimester, I was on my way to work, and Corinne Hawthorne's Won't He Do It came on, and I just burst into tears in the car. I was bawling, crying. My boyfriend was concerned. He's trying to figure out, why am I crying? Like, what's going on? And I had to explain to him that this song was speaking to me at that point, because I was having these issues with my faith and feeling disappointed in God. And it really just brought things back to me, for me to realize that God was not disappointed in me, and that we all make mistakes, and that it was still going to be okay. So to this day, anytime that song come on, he looks at me and he smiles, because he understands what that song meant to me at that point in my life. After my first trimester, I began to tell a few of my friends that I was actually expecting, and it was funny because they started to remind me about things that I've said in the past. Like, one thing was that I didn't ever want to plan my kids. And I always said, like, I didn't want there to be a big gap in between my kids. And so I laughed because I realized that words are important. I didn't plan either one of my babies. They were both surprises, beautiful surprises. They just were not planned. Additionally, I never expected to get pregnant with my second son so soon, but here we are. And again, words have power. So me and my boyfriend have been together for 5 years at this point. However, we've known each other for 13 years. And the questions always come up. When are you getting married? Why are you not married yet? And to be honest, I expected us to be married by now. However, I'm glad we weren't because we were not ready. Like I said, 2017 was the rockiest time of our relationship, and that was not the time to just rush into marriage because we were having a baby. In fact, I woke up one day and I told him, I was like, do not propose to me because I'm pregnant, because I will say no. I told my friends about that and they laughed and they were like, well, why would you say no? And I said to them, I don't want to be married because I have kids. I want to be married because you want to be married to me. That's more important. We've had really in-depth talks over the years about marriage, and we both are understanding that we want to be happily married and not just be married to be married. I have so many friends that were married and then they got pregnant and have babies, and then within a year or two they're divorced. I don't want that for my life. We both agree that we want to be ready when we actually do get married. We don't want to live our lives for our kids and then end up roommates when the kids go off to college. That's not the life we want to live. What I've also had to explain to a lot of people is that we're going to be the only ones in our marriage. So don't try to rush us to be married to satisfy your own personal goals for us. Like, that doesn't mean anything to us, because at the end of the day, again, we have to be in this marriage, me and him, not anybody else. So if and when we do get married, understand that it's our business and that it's going to be a decision that we made for ourselves, not because of our families, not because of our children, but because that's something that we actually wanted for each other and together. A few years ago, a good friend of mine said she wondered how many people would actually get married if they didn't want to have children. And I didn't really understand then what she meant, but I understand now. And it's that so many people are getting married simply because they want to have kids that they don't really worry about how do we make this marriage last forever. It's more so, let me do these things in the right order, or the order that society says it's supposed to be in. Another thing that I realized is that it's important to pick a man that you think would be a good father. I have friends that are married and those men aren't necessarily good fathers. So I realized that it was more important to pick somebody that you think is going to be not only a good husband, but also a good father. Luckily, I picked somebody who's a great father and he's winning in that department. I have a lot of friends who are also in their late 30s and early 40s who've been waiting and waiting and waiting to get married so they can have kids. And unfortunately, in a lot of these cases, they either no longer can have kids or have a really hard time having kids. So when I see those situations, I realize that while my life wasn't necessarily in the way that I wanted it to go, I'm blessed with these two beautiful babies. People are quick to talk about statistics like, oh, you're a black woman who's unmarried and you have children. Okay, that's great. But also, if you're going to talk about the bad, you need to also talk about the good. Let's talk about the fact that I'm an educated black woman. I have a college degree and a law degree. I've been practicing law for the last 11 years, and I have my own business. Let's talk about the fact that I'm a black woman who's also a homeowner, and I've done that for the last 10 years. Let's talk about the fact that I'm well traveled. I've been to over 5 different continents. There are a lot of statistics that I'm busting out the water, but sadly, people only focus on the negative. No, life isn't what I expected it to be, but it is so much more. So much more. I am blessed. I have a man who I love and he loves me, and we have 2 beautiful little boys that we adore. So tell people to mind their business, or mind the business that pays them, because I don't. I hope you enjoyed this topic and had fun getting a little bit of my thoughts. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Deuces.